Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I don't have a lot to say because I can't get my words together right now. But I wanted everybody to know at the end of the day, they get to go home and be with their families. Shiana does not have a father. He will never see her grow up, graduate. He will never walk her down the aisle. If it's a problem she's having and she needs her dad, she does not have that anymore.
Touching. Hard to listen to. It's a father. It's a human being. That's Roxy Washington. They have a daughter together. You listen to that. That is, to me, it's a human being. But also as a father. That's tough. Think about it all the time. I think about it all the time. You know, what if something ever happened to me? I think about the stuff I'd miss out on, all of that stuff. What took place with George Floyd was vile and disgusting. The protests yesterday, everything that makes America what America is. Were there some idiots out there? There's idiots everywhere. You put 100 people in the room, I will guarantee you 2 or 3 idiots. Doesn't matter, right? 2 or 3. One absolute asshat coming there to do something. 2 of those idiots will be people that, well, they just got caught up in something. But across the country yesterday, I looked and I thought, people are like, I can't believe this. And the anger, I said, anger's okay. Emotion is fine. What took place yesterday was what America is about. And unfortunately, what took place last week, all too often, is what America has been about. But yesterday, watching hundreds of thousands of people across the country, black and white, gay and straight, police officers, everyday people out protesting. My question, and I think it's a real question, and I've talked to several protesters. I've asked them, so let me ask you this. You say you're not going to stop until you get change. No. Okay. What is the change that you want? And I think, like everything, you have to have a goal in mind of what it is you're looking for. If you're looking for utopia, you're never going to find it. You're never going to find utopia because it doesn't exist. Human beings are the reason there's no utopia. Because human beings will always manage a way to screw things up. People will overreach. People will do things to hurt a cause. So what is it that people want? And I think that's the thing we have to ask ourselves. We want to, at the end of the day, right? So at the end of the day, you, me, everybody, end of the day, what is it that we want as an average person? Want to go home to our families. George Floyd doesn't get to do that. We want to have opportunities. And in many places, especially in urban communities as well as very rural, poor areas, people don't have those opportunities. And even when they get them, sometimes they just don't take them. They don't understand what those opportunities are. We want to be able to have peace, raise a family, do our thing, whatever that is. That's what people are looking for. We kind of want the same thing. Each generation's a little bit different, right? We've talked about this before. That my generation, baby boomer generation above me, the greatest generation above them, they all were growing and doing their own thing and trying to grab a different kind of slice of the American dream. But at the end of the day, we want to live our lives. Want a chance to pursue our dreams, to have some happiness, and realize as human beings we're going to have heartache. But the question is, what is it that we want? And that's an individual question. We want better policing? Absolutely. Do we want to try to fix a system, not tear it down, that has been at times racist? You'd be lying if you didn't say it is. And at other times, as things have changed and things have gotten better, and don't think that they haven't gotten better, they've gotten a lot better. Again, no utopia. But also, the way that the system works now, it's set up in a way that if you got a ton of money, you're going to be all right. So what is it that you want? And to a person, all of them gave me different answers. Well, I want this, or I want that. Or, and then every once in a while you get, I want to get rid of people like Trump. And that's fine. But what is it you want? What's the end goal? Because without an end goal, you're just meandering. If you don't have a destination, you're meandering. And I think that's the question now that we are having a conversation is, what is the end goal? And everybody's going to have a different end goal. And I think that's an individual question. But watching yesterday, I was like, this is what America's about. For all of the chaos, for all of the craziness, for all of the negativity, and there's plenty of it out there, right? There is plenty of it out there. Yesterday was just great to watch.
After days of images of cities on fire, violent clashes between police and protesters, there were calls for calm amid protesters. Dozens of peaceful protests around the country Tuesday.
Yeah, peaceful protest. People were coming out, having their voice heard. Now, it's where do we go from here? And I think those are the questions that need to be answered, in many cases, on an individual basis. Because to think that there's a one-size-fits-all for everybody, remember, everybody wants to be their own something, right? They want their own special category. So when you try to do a one-size-fits-all, too often the people that start putting the one-size-fits-all together have their own thing in mind. Hijack the conversation. So what's that one-size-fits-all? Well, that's not out there. It's up to individuals. And the conversations we have to have are up to individuals. That's how we move forward. I love the fact that my son, my little one, they're growing up in a world that is so much better. And for all of the chaos that we see, for all of the America's the most racist place, it's not. It's not. Did we build something and slavery was a part of it? Yes. But the greatest experiment is still the greatest. Go anywhere else in the world, find the diversity that's here. You won't. Go to Sweden. It's a bunch of crackers. Go to China. Not going to find it. Go to Russia. Won't be there. Go to Australia. No. Oh, is there some diversity in some of those places? Well, a little bit in Australia, a little bit in Britain, but not like here. Not like here. So, yes, we have our problems. But yesterday was the perfect snapshot of what it is in America. People coming together to have their voices heard. Not burn things down, not beat people up, not cause a riot, not start fights. Having their voices heard. And the thing is, we have to listen as human beings. Everybody does. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. All of that being said, let's not forget, we have the coronavirus that's still lingering.
It seems like it's a double-edged sword here because I get that people are feeling unhappy and anxious, but they have to be very careful.
Yeah, we have to be very careful because we're talking about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, people opening up. What's going to happen? We're going to see spikes everywhere. It's going to be awful. And this is it. You know, is it seasonal? All of those things. And we're worried and we're looking at some of these states. Well, these states are rising. These states and then what took place last week, you're like, oh, my God, that is just horrific. That has now taken all of the air out of the room. And all the while that's happened, nothing's changed. Coronavirus is still here. There's new reports coming in every day. We are getting more and more people that we're finding out are sick. It's none of that's changed. And now people are in a situation where they're gathered together, mask or not. There's still going to be incidents. of spikes. How do people go about making sure they don't get sick? Washing your hands is huge. Not touching your face is big. But there's still going to be incidents. And what's that look like? Oh, my goodness me. Just chaos and craziness, and at the same time, the beauty of America. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. Lightstream. I'm always about saving you money. You got good credit, but maybe you're renting a place right now and you got several credit cards and times have been tough and you're looking at these things like, if I could just get this down to a manageable payment, I'd love that. That's where Lightstream comes in, right? Credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream is so easy. You can save thousands in interest. You can get a rate as low as 5.95% APR with autopay. It's great. The rate is fixed, so it's never going to go up. It's never going to wobble. No fees. Average credit card interest rate is 19% APR. You can do everything on your phone. I tried it out one night. See how fast. Took me like 5 minutes or so. Boom. That's simple. You can do the same thing. And just for being my listener, you get a special interest rate discount. You go to lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
D.C.'s Catholic Archbishop Wilton Gregory also condemning Trump's visit Tuesday to a Catholic shrine, saying it was a publicity stunt and called it baffling and reprehensible. And the president's 2020 opponent piling on.
A country is crying out for leadership. Leadership that can recognize pain and deep grief of communities that have had a knee on their neck for a long time.
Yeah, Gregory needs to be quiet also because he's had some issues. But all of that being said, I found the stunt ridiculous the other day, holding the Bible, the whole 9 yards. I was talking to my uncle yesterday. He says, Chad, and he's a huge Trump supporter, oddly enough. It's so funny because my uncle, if you guys saw him, he comes on our show. He's a big tech guru, and he is a big, giant Mexican dude. My best friend in the world. Love him to death. And we're partners in business, but we're family first and foremost. And, if you saw my grandfather, you're like, really? I'm like, yeah, that's me. Guess what? Yeah. A little bit of Latin flavor, kids. He says, Chad, for the stunt, for as bad as the stunt was, and it was stupid. Because I said, Trump's the guy that would autograph a Bible for you. That's Trump. For all of that, though, where was the outcry over the fact that people had looted and burned and desecrated the church, the cathedrals, and other places as well? There's no outcry about that. It was all Trump's a jerk for standing there taking a photo op. Well, yeah, I don't think it was a smart thing to do. I didn't like it. I understand he does it for his base, but saying all of that, there wasn't any real outcry, was there? People weren't like, oh, man. I'm looking at it, and there's a bunch of boarded up windows and stuff behind. Nobody seemed to care about that. That got lost, and it became it's no big deal because Trump. And that's part of Trump. Wherever Trump goes, there's an issue. Wherever Trump goes and does something, it's going to be big, big news, and he likes it that way. Could have done it a little different. Yeah. Shouldn't have done it at all. I don't think so. All that being said, he did. And there wasn't an outcry that should have been for why did you guys attack the church? And by you guys, I mean the people who did it, not the people that were protesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you. What will happen in other parts as we start to reopen? The NBA still tossing around things. including, how many teams actually want to play? Because some teams are like, we're not going to be there. Why do we have to show up?
While there is support among some in the NBA to bring back everybody, let all 30 teams participate, Adam Silver knows this privately from his conversations with teams. There are not 30 teams who want to play. Now, they won't all say that publicly, but privately he knows that there are teams and there are players on those teams that don't want to come back.
That's weird, but I understand. I mean, you've been off for a long time. You're not going to make the playoffs. You're now being told, all right, here's the deal. You're going to go have another training camp. You don't know what's going to happen to the season next. You're not playing for anything. You don't know what's going on with your contract. Now they're asking you to move to potentially Orlando for several weeks to have a mini training camp and then play some meaningless games, of which the only thing that's really potentially bad is you could improve your stock if you're going to be a free agent. And at the same time, there's also a chance you can get hurt. So why would you at this point? That's something to think about. I understand that. Take it down to the teams that would have made the playoffs and maybe the bottom couple teams after that, because we know who's going to be in a position to probably win this. It's probably going to be 3 or 4, maybe 5 teams have any kind of chance. So you don't know. And for hockey, if they were to come back, hockey's one of those sports where momentum is the most important thing, and you've killed all the momentum. So if you pick 16 or 20 teams to play, anybody could win it. The last team to get in has a chance of winning it. We've seen it in hockey more than any other sport. The Kings, 5-6 years ago, they won the Stanley Cup. They were the last team to make the playoffs, and they rolled through everybody as if they didn't even exist, like it was practice. NBA's different, though. So I wouldn't want to play either in certain situations where you think, man, I'm only risked. I'm not going anywhere. It's a practice game. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Let me just say this to the President of the United States on behalf of the police chiefs in this country. Please, if you don't have something constructive to say, keep your mouth shut, because you're putting men and women in their early 20s at risk. It's not about dominating. It's about winning hearts and minds. And let's be clear. We do not want people to confuse kindness with weakness, but we don't want ignorance to ruin what we've got here in Houston.
That right there is Police Chief of Houston, Art Acevedo, talking about Trump, politics, keep your mouth shut kind of thing. That's you get it. Look, Trump is not. People think Biden is much more empathetic. The way that people look at Republicans and Democrats is this. Democrats are touchy-feely. Republicans are steel-hearted. And that's, in some ways, I mean, you're looking at that. Now, I'm an actions person and I'm a competence person. You may be the most sweet individual in the world who is just you're the salt of the earth. But I can't trust you to do the job that needs to be done. And on the other side, you may be an a-hole who's awful. Thinks about number one, but if I give you a task or you say you're going to do something, you do it. Right now, people are looking at Trump because, in times of crisis, we want somebody that's going to be that person that brings people together, right? You listened to Joe Biden yesterday. He was at a black church talking. He does sound different than Trump. Trump's talking about, hey, we need to squash these rioters and looters. We need to dominate. And, Biden, on the other hand.
The pain is raw. The pain is real. The President of the United States must be part of the solution, not the problem. But this president today is part of the problem and accelerates it. I wish I could say that hate began with Donald Trump and will end with him. It didn't, and it won't. American history isn't a fairy tale with a guaranteed happy ending. The battle for the soul of this nation has been a constant push and pull for more than 240 years. A tug of war between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh reality that racism has long torn us apart.
You don't get that from Trump. You don't get that. You get tough talk from Trump. He said the other day, I'm the law and order president. That's why people get mad, because there is, on the conference call with the governors, he's Trump. One thing you know about Trump is I get Trump. Politicians, and this is what sets Trump apart for the bad side of it, for the good side of it. Do you really know what they're thinking? Trump's filter is nil, and that helps him and it hurts him. He's got no filter. He's just Trump. And we're not used to that. We're used to politicians crafting something. Crafting whatever it is that they need to feel like they need to craft to say the right words, to say the things. That ain't Trump, man. Trump ain't going to give you any of that. He isn't. People want him to change. He didn't know any other way. His mentor was Roy Cohn. That's the guy who led McCarthy's, chasing down the Reds in Hollywood. And this was, and his big thing was never apologize, do your thing, be hard, come out, double down. That's Trump. For better or for worse. And at times it's worse. And in a time like this, where we're looking for somebody to come out and to soothe the hearts, to calm it down. And it's just that, not that he's not capable. That's not who he is. More from Art Acevedos, Police Chief, Houston, Texas.
If you don't have something to say, like Forrest Gump, then don't say it, because that's the basic tenets of leadership, and we need leadership now more than ever. And it hurts me to no end. Whether we vote for someone, we don't vote for someone, it's still our president. But it's time to be presidential and not try to be like you're on The Apprentice. This is not Hollywood. This is real life, and real lives are at risk. And I ask the American people to please join with the police, stand together. Let's shift this to where it needs to be, to the voting booth.
There you go. Art Acevedo, Police Chief, Houston. You just listen to that, though, and I think everybody's hoping that Trump is somehow going to be not Trump. That's not who he is. It's never going to change. Trump will always be Trump. Trump will always tweet something that's uncomfortable, say something that's uncomfortable, piss people off. He is a stirrer. He loves chaos. He loves instability. He loves people feel uncomfortable. And he's also a hard ass. He's that grandpa. My grandpa was this way. I loved my grandfather, who passed away a few years ago on my mom's side. And he got a little softer, but when I was a kid, I was kind of terrified of my grandpa. He was a gruff man. He was a strong man. He was the president of the Carpenters Union. He was, even in his, into his 70s, I mean, he could smash your hand. And he didn't show a ton of emotion, and he was always kind of, just, I knew he cared, but I didn't, there just was something about him. And he spoke his mind. It's Trump. You always knew where you stand. And a lot of times people don't like that. Politicians lie every single day. Trump lies about everything. Politicians lie about everything that matters to you, knowing that at the end of the day, whatever they're promising you, they're never going to deliver it. But you want to hear it, so it makes you feel good. You're going to give me everything I've dreamed of? Absolutely. I don't have to pay more taxes? Nope. Yeah, you're the best. Are you going to do that? No, I'm not going to do that. I just told him that make him feel good. Oh. Trump's not that way. For right or wrong. And I'm not a fan of a lot of what Trump does. And it's hard. It's hard. As I talk to my progressive friends, and we'll chat about it. And they say, Chad, you believe in God. And I'm like, yeah. I go to church, do all that stuff. Yeah, whatever it is. And it's, I have a relationship. And they said, how do you justify what he does? I said, well, first of all, I didn't vote for him. Secondly, I don't want him to fail. Right? But I can also compartmentalize some of the stuff that he's done. People say, how do Christians support Trump? Because whether he believes any of this stuff, his actions, which at the end of the day, let's be real. If your actions are what they are, so you say, I'm going to do this, and they're like, he doesn't believe that, but then he does it. That's what it is. For Christians, the fact that he is, whether he believes it or not, or even cares, the way he's tried to protect religion, the way that he's tried to go and appoint more pro-life judges, things of that nature. Those actions are the actions. They can look at the man and say, I don't have to like him, but his actions are one thing. And they can't fathom that. People on the left, they don't get that. They look at Trump. I don't get how you could find this person who's in many cases abhorrent to so many different things. But the actions on the other side of it say, well, he's pretty damn conservative. If this was Reagan, people would be singing, to the top of the mountain. Somebody said yesterday, we need to vote Democrat and make it a one-party country till we find somebody who's like Reagan again. But he does a lot of his voting, a lot of the things that he's done, a lot of things that he's pushed is very Reagan-esque. He's just not done it in the way that people like. And I get that. Again, I'm over the drama. Joe Biden will unite the country in boredom. He's Lunesta. Trump's meth. Right? Trump's that bender you go on and you wake up, you're like, what happened in the last 4 years? On the other side of it, it's Trump is, I would say Trump is YouTube or Sirius where you can say anything you want. And then you look over and Joe Biden's NPR. It was very whispery. Hi, guys. It's Joe Biden here. It's time to play that game. What's in your pocket? Well, Joe. I listen to NPR when I come in early in the morning sometimes, and it is hilarious. Some of it. I'm like, where do they do this stuff from? It's producer Phil, because you like me have been a fan of radio for God since we were kids, and I think and I guess it was the same thing when I was in England, the BBC. But I always think, do they train them to be that way? How do you find somebody like no? We just like a monotone.
The complete opposite of what I had in broadcast school.
Exactly. Scream really loud. This is what you need to do. Shout. That's it. That's Joe Biden. And that's how Biden will unite the country. I've said it for the last 3 months. He will unite the country because people will be like, ugh, he's so boring. And maybe at times that's what we need. Maybe Trump is what we needed. And maybe Biden is what we needed. I don't know. Either way, my life isn't going to change that much. Remember, the politics that matter most in your life are in your city, your municipality that you live in, and your state. The federal side of it is just, that's like that's like a festival. That's like going to Coachella. It's big. It's exciting. You get to see all this stuff. But at the end of the day, you'd rather hear your favorite band down the street. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. Rough Greens. So my dog Doodle, who's nuts, and I love it. He wasn't. A few months ago, Doodle could barely walk, and when he'd start to run, he'd have to pick up one of his legs, and you could see the kind of lumps in his hips because he had these fatty tumors, and it was just a struggle for him, and he's just... It's crazy. For all my big lizards, for all the stuff I have, Doodle and I have this great bond, and I've tried everything, vet, the whole 9 yards. Rough Greens said, try this. You sprinkle it on the food that he likes to eat. It's not dog food. You just take it and you sprinkle it on the food, and it's going to change. 14-day jump start. Within 7 days, total notice. Within 10 days, I got a brand new dog. And he is bouncy. He's a puppy-like. He's not as angry. It's just the most amazing thing and a transformation. And I like the fact that I think I'm going to have Doodle around a little bit longer. 25 all-natural vitamins and minerals, 20 digestive enzymes, 15 powerful strains of probiotics, and it's just incredible. Omega-3, 6, and 9. And like I say, it's not dog food. Just a sprinkle. They love it. It tastes great. It will change your dog. If your dog's ailing, maybe your dog's getting a little older, or if you just want to make sure your dog's getting the best, this is what Rough Greens is all about. 14-day jumpstart, $14.95, and it will be the best thing you've ever done for your furry friend. Rough Greens can reduce or completely eliminate your dog's symptoms. It worked for Doodle to work for you. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog88. That's RUFFgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog88. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
I'm exhausted. If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
There's optimism as there is for the season. Training camp obviously coming sooner, but there are still a lot of issues that have to be worked out. Remember, teams don't even have their coaches back at their team facilities yet. They're hoping to be able to do that by the end of this week if everybody gets clearance to do it. But in terms of getting players, you talk about off-season roster, you talk about 90 players, full coaching staff, all the support staff, getting everybody in the same place.
That's going to be tough. COVID-19 still out there. NFL's trying to figure out what to do. Right? Shefty there saying, I don't know how you get everybody there. I mean, how do we go from point A to point B? Is it possible? Is it not possible? Are we going to have expanded rosters? We're going to have to turn a blind eye to certain things? I mean, nobody really kind of gets it. Dan Graziano talking about training camps.
Players have a lot of questions about testing procedures. What happens if someone tests positive? Are they going to all be holed up at hotels? Are they going to be able to see their families? There are a lot of things that have to be answered before we can get to training camp. The NFL continues to be fortunate to have time on its side. It's not one of these leagues that had to interrupt the season, but training camp is coming closer, and these questions are going to need answers pretty soon.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. That'll be very interesting. Can we get it? I think of all of the stuff that the NBA, everything that was stopped down, the NHL, Major League Baseball never even started, movies. And let's talk about just movies for a quick sec. There are many theaters across this country that may never see the light of day again. May never see the light of day again. There's going to be, this has reworked a lot of things. And for the consumer, somebody said, well, wouldn't you just want to watch movies at home? I said, I like that. I love the experience, though, of going to the movies. Unhinged is supposed to come out next month. That's the new Russell Crowe movie about a guy that becomes unhinged, and it all starts because of being stuck in traffic. And he just kind of seems to lose it. And it's like it's a mom and a kid and him in a giant truck, and he's having a bad day, and kind of reminds me of Falling Down, but it looks a little bit more cat and mouse based on a group of just characters. Falling Down with Michael Douglas was great. Guy couldn't get he had enough. Couldn't get his McDonald's breakfast at 10:02, and he lost it. But I'm going to go see it when it comes out. I want to go to the movies. I love the experience. Getting popcorn, getting some candy, getting a drink, sitting down, watching the previews, and then the experience of the movie in on the giant screen. I love that. I do enjoy, we've watched a ton of movies that have come out, and we watched The Invisible Man, The Hunt, the movie that was canceled, and then they reopened it up and put it out. I watched several. Scooby-Doo was awesome. Scooby-Doo. The kids loved it. It was great. But I do like the movies. And that, to me, will never change. I enjoy the movies more than I enjoy going to live sports events. So I don't think movies will be gone forever, but I do think that they're looking at this saying, we can make a ton of money, and we don't have to release it. We don't have to be held hostage by theater owners, and we want to release and do it the same day, and we've got the product. They don't. So I think you'll see some changes in the future. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the show as well. Love hearing from everybody. Check out the Instagram. It is that day where we get you over the hump. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Liquor store, gone. Pawn store, down there, gone. AutoZone, burned to the ground. This police station that is supposed to keep people safe can now no longer keep the community safe. Now the community no longer has any protection. I was just talking to somebody that's local to this neighborhood, and she told me that now she doesn't have a grocery store. And now they don't have an auto parts store. And now they don't have a liquor store, and they don't have a pawn shop, and they don't have so many small businesses that put their blood, sweat, and tears and their entire livelihoods into building up.
Rob Smith, Ground Zero, Minneapolis. That's the thing when you look at what happens in a neighborhood in certain parts of the country where the rioting went on. He's a former Iraqi war vet. He's an author. And you listen to him there, and let me tell you what happens. You still go to parts of Los Angeles today. They've never rebuilt. They haven't. Places are boarded up, still charred out. Just no. People were pissed and angry, but you also had other people out there who were there to cause chaos. They weren't there because of, to them, George Floyd dying was a reason to be pissed and angry and get everybody else pissed and angry, but it wasn't because of George Floyd. It was because they hate the system, and their whole goal is to destroy the system. And they've come from other places. I think it was St. Paul that announced yesterday that all of the arrests they made were from people outside the state. It's like those people are professionals. Like this, you're a professional agitator. And you going into these places and you destroying them and you breaking stuff down and thinking that somehow that's helping them. They're not interested in helping you. They're interested in breaking the system because they think somewhere down the line things will be better for you, but this is the sacrifice they have to make, and that sacrifice is your neighborhood.
You want to make this about black lives? You want to talk about black lives? Think about all of the people who sacrificed their black lives to build up their dreams here. Think about all the black lives that live in this neighborhood that now don't have a grocery store to go to, that now don't have a Target to go to, that now don't have a gym to go to, that now don't have anywhere to work out, that now don't have anything. Think about those black lives. The next time you go out destroying, looting, react in violence against injustice. I understand injustice, I understand hurt, I understand violence, and I understand pain, but this is not the way.
No. It's not. And yesterday, we got the perfect example of what we look like after the emotions that cause us to react. We can have hurt and emotions, and we can let them out now in a way that we can be moving towards trying to talk about where we go from here, which is what we should be doing. But now the emotions, and in particular, the people that were there to cause hell and havoc and break a bunch of things and try to tear down the system, they're either arrested or they're gone. They have to get home. Mom and dad want us to come home. Peaceful yesterday. Protests were peaceful. That's what we want to see. Yesterday, when you look, and there were little incidents here and there, but when you look yesterday, this is what America was all about. A peaceful assembly of people. Boston, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Phoenix. I was joking about Phoenix. We were joking about it yesterday on the air. We're like, there's 50 people there. I'm like, 50? You're looking at Boston, you're like, my God, it's a zoo. There's who knows how many. I mean, there's definitely tens of thousands. And, weather plays a lot into it. St. Paul in February, you're probably not going to have 50,000 people show up. This is probably not going to happen. And Phoenix, yesterday, here, it was like 112. But by about 6 o'clock, there were several thousand people marching. And it was peaceful. And that's what we wanted to see. And that was the best of what we have to offer. That's what we need to see. That's what we have. Doesn't mean there's not idiots out there. Doesn't mean there's not people out there whose emotions will run high. And doesn't mean there aren't people out there on both sides of the extreme aisles who want to cause division, chaos, and anger, and are willing to do that. But they're not interested in whatever happened. They're just looking at this as another way to stir the pot. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. All of that going on. I said one of the other reasons we've seen such, I think, a huge mass of people get together. Not saying it wouldn't be as big, but the reality is people are frustrated. You have the perfect storm of COVID-19, 40-plus million people out of work. People saw this. It went viral in a way that was just so fast. And for whatever reason, and again, we've seen, like the what took place with, Ahmaud Arbery just seems to be lost in a lot of this. But this thing really captured America and the world. But we're still looking at a position where we've got 41 million people that, or give or take, that have filed for unemployment in the last 10 weeks. And now we're sitting in a situation where it's still not getting any better. And we don't have the country fully open. People are still unemployed. It's starting to hit home that this is a situation that isn't going to be, we flick the switch and things will get back to normal, which I think will cause more anger and upset. So we'll see. But the reports, tomorrow we'll get the unemployment, but you look around, it ain't good.
The pandemic and protests are a 1-2 punch to a just reopening economy.
I'm not really super concerned with the additional impacts of the protests, just because there's always been protests and these stores weren't doing a lot of business to begin with.
Patrick Gourley at the University of New Haven. The payroll company ADP said employers cut 2.8 million jobs in May and more than 22 million total since March. Weekly jobless claims come Thursday and what is expected to be a devastating unemployment report on Friday.
Yeah. Ugly. Remember, the second quarter, ugly. Third quarter, we'll start to see what that looks like. But with protests, with COVID still lurking, we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't. Well, we've got an election. I mean, all of these things are just boom, one after another. And the question of are we reopening? Is it just kind of like we're going to get to a certain area and we're just going to like, well, this will be what it's like for the next umpteen months, or where it's kind of open and you can go to a restaurant, but not, schools. Don't know. And that's all been, at this moment in time, kind of pushed aside because of what took place with George Floyd and the protest that's out there. And on top of that, the protests themselves, you have to say to yourself, okay, what exactly is the potential for this thing to spread? Is it possible that all of this stuff, when you're out there? Yeah, it is.
There are situations where crowding and high viral shedding and activities that can enhance transmission, such as not wearing masks and spreading aerosols.
A lot of people are wearing masks, but a lot of people aren't. And those masks aren't 100%. And you're going to have, in some places, 15, 20, 30,000 people for several days in a row out there rallying. It seems like it's a recipe for the potential for this thing to spread. And we've kind of pushed it aside because, as we know, we can't do two things at once. Walking and chewing gum is not something that apparently the average person and the country and the news media can do.
It seems like it's a double-edged sword here, because I get that people are feeling unhappy and anxious, but they have to be very careful.
What happens in 2 weeks? So California reported, 30,000 cases? Was it yesterday? So what happens in 2 weeks? So 2 weeks, if we look and we say, wow, we've got X amount of cases just popped up out of nowhere. Uh-oh. Do we shut back down again? Can the country handle that? And then with that is going to bring more frayed nerves. People are going to be more angry. People are scared. It's the beginning of the month. They've put off their landlords and their mortgage people, thinking, I think, that this thing would pass and that, well, they'll come in and fix it. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, is there another stimulus coming? It's potential, I guess. How much more can we print and or borrow? I guess as much as we need to, but what's that look like in the future too? Are we trying to save today, mortgage the future, and put us in a situation where we're just going to be in a 5 or 10 year malaise trying to dig out of it? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Raycon, best earbuds around. A lot of people are working at home. That's the beauty of where we are now. Like 20 years ago, this would have just went, but a lot of people are able to work at home. A lot of people are able to do things now they've never done. And one of those things, it's video conference calls, and you're making calls to your boss and to your employees or big clients. You got the kids at home as well, and they're driving you crazy, and you can't hear, and that's why you get Raycons, E25s. You get 6 hours of talk time, seamless Bluetooth pairing, but when you put it on, it fits in there so nicely. So when you're doing those video conference calls, you don't see the little stems or the dangling wires, and it's just a great noise-isolating fit where you can have a conversation and feel like you're there with the person to have a conversation. It's a noise-isolating fit. Now's your chance to get these at a price that is so ridiculous. Normally something like this costs you $150, $200. This starts well under $100, and I'm going to save you 15%. It's simple and easy to do. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad to save 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition,
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's find out what's trending. I like doing that. Let's first and foremost start in the magical world of Twitter. Angry people are just always angry. Whiteout Wednesday. Don't know what it is. If it's a joke. I have no idea. It's probably some idiots to put it out. White Lives Matter is also trending. Why? That's just... but this is a perfect example of where it's great to stir, right? It's great to stir, and we've got a place now where you can go and say crazy things or start something, and in many cases, in an anonymous way. And a lot of this, what you're seeing out there, and this is something else that people aren't taking into account. There are a lot of bad actors, foreign agencies, and governments that sanction this and are totally fine, that are involved in spreading lies and rumors to get us to battle with each other. So we spread fake news. We think it's true. Yesterday, was it Deborah Messing? Posted a picture of Trump holding up the Bible the day before, and then a picture of Hitler, and that was totally photoshopped. But nobody cares because they're wanting to make a point, and that's part of it. Part of the problem is we want these things to be so true that we never even check to find out if they are true. We just assume they are because that's what a lot of people pass it off as. Well, I assume that somewhere, Hitler held up a Bible. So it's okay if it's Photoshopped. No, stop making excuses. Why are you posting this? Because you want to make your people happy, and you want to cause just as much division to say ha-ha to all of the people that are on. And it's stupid. It's ridiculous. Yesterday even, Emma Watson. Right? Emma Watson. She was Hermione. People were, let's cancel her. Let's have a cancel party for Emma Watson because of something that she did after she criticized the initial Blackout Tuesday. I don't even know what it was. And I'm like, why are we mad at this person again? It's like Wendy's. We're going to cancel Wendy's. Why? Well, because this guy gave $400,000 to Trump re-election, so it makes him a fascist. And I'm like, the conversation has to end. I can't have a real conversation with you. Carol Baskin's also trending because she got another legal win, and she gets Joe Exotic's zoo, or what's left of it. Somebody else has come in and taken it over, and that guy was scummy too. And look, Joe Exotic was just he's an odd, weird character, and a lot of people in the reptile world and as well, I know, are really weird. And we've all run in kind of the same circles, and it's all they're all there's a bit off in a lot of people, but Carol Baskins, I was like, I know Joe wanted to do something, but I'm not quite sure he really wanted to do it. But he ended up getting jail, but there's a lot to be said about her. Now she gets a zoo. Like, talk about insult. Oh my Lord. 323-538-2423. Remember when it was just fun talking about stuff like Tiger King and wackiness? Oh, those were the days. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It is the culmination of just decades of indifference toward a very real problem in the black community. the indifference that people have to repeated shootings of unarmed black Americans by white police officers who don't seem to have been trained very well, or that they have like a personal animus against minorities and people of color. This seems to be a trend that is so stubborn, and it won't stop.
Now, is it a trend? Data shows different. It does. We don't want, I mean, it's, I don't want, look, I'm love looking at data. I want to see what the data says, and I want to see, okay, where does the data come from? Who's controlling the data? Is it just data that's just being inputted, or are there things that roll out and you're like, well, I can show you this and I can show you that, and your data may show something completely different, and my data may show something completely different, and both of us may have a portion of the truth, but is it really that? I said the bigger problem is the relationship between people of color and the police, law enforcement, in neighborhoods where people are struggling, people are hurting, they feel like they have nothing. And read an article. Again, another poll. It's a poll. Reputable. That 70% of African Americans don't trust the police. I'm like, seems about right. Seems about right. 70% of Americans don't trust the police. Why would they? A lot of different reasons why they wouldn't. Some of it justified. And this is from Axios, Ipsos. So you got Axios and an Ipsos. I find it interesting. But I also think there's a lot that goes into it. We don't always get the exact things that we want out of the data we have. How do we get to the point where we see the change? And what is that change? People marching. We want change. What's the change you want? I don't know. Well, you need to know. It's like you don't get in an airplane and say, all right, we're just going to take off. Where are you going to go? I don't know. It's going to be an end, right? We're going to go somewhere. There's a goal to getting where we want to go. You just don't go, hey, we're going here. No. Where are we going? What's the change? The thing is, though, we have 340 million people in America, 370 million, who knows how many, but we're in that range. Everybody's going to give you pretty much a different answer. We all kind of know the outline of what it is we want. We want opportunities. We want our families to be safe. We want some financial security. We want to be able to pursue our dream no matter how big or small it is. It doesn't matter the color. We want the same thing. So to get to those places, what's the change? Well, the change is going to have to come from individuals. Because people who are leading movements in certain areas, let's be real, just for a second. A lot of times, these people want to be de facto leaders on all sides of the aisle, spectrums, and they're in it for their own. They're doing their own thing. Right? They're doing their own thing. They're about them. The movement is the means to an end to do certain things. Some people don't want change because the business they're in is division and it's lucrative. But I think the average human being, the average American, right, rich or poor, black or white, we all kind of want the same thing. We want to get there. We may have different ways of how we're going to get there, but we want to get there. So we need to start listening instead of just hearing and participating. But that participation, as great as those protests were yesterday, as peaceful as they were across the country, at the end of the day, you go home, and that's where the difference is going to be made on an individual basis.
These are people that really have no other voice now. They don't get the political power or the financial power to change the circumstances. So what are they going to do? The writing is the voices of people who have no voice. That's how they made their presence known. I remember seeing the sign that someone held up in Minneapolis that said, "Can you hear us now?"
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very, very poignant statement.
That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, former NBA great. Led the Lakers to several championships. What up, Kareem? The skyhook, the goggles. That was back in the day when they wore short shorts. You ever go back and look at those? Like, what were they wearing? But he's right. Like, people want to be heard. That's just it. You know, sometimes it's not even about change. Because sometimes people realize that the change they're going to have to make is in their own life. And the change in a widespread way is going to be made, over time. But sometimes I think people forget that sometimes people they want to be listened to. I don't want you to speak. And you may not even understand. But I just want you to listen to what I have to say. Sometimes they don't even want a response. But if they're felt like they're listened to, not just heard, but listened to, no matter who that person is, no matter what their circumstances are, what makes a great relationship? You go and look at like marriages that have been successful, and they ask, "Well, what communication?" He listens to me. She listens to what I have to say. And sometimes you put your head together and you try to come up with a solution for that. But that's a lot of what it is. It's just the communication side of it. And we've failed at that tremendously because we're too busy yelling at each other. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, all day. We're battling yesterday. People are over Trump holding up a Bible in front of a church, and people are pissed off at Trump for doing that. And I thought it wasn't necessary for him to do that the way he did. And all the while, nobody's talking about, well, the church was vandalized and set fire or whatnot. And that nobody cared because it's too busy, because we're too busy yelling over each other to hear anything or listen to anybody. And that's frustrating. And I understand the frustration. And as a white dude, I had a great talk. One of my producers, so I've got my producer, Anthony. So if you guys don't know, I've got my national show. I've got producer Anthony, producer Phil. So we all come from different walks of life. And Anthony's different than me. Anthony's older. He's gay. My national show, that's them. Phil has his life. He's got his girlfriend. But we've all got our lives. We come from different walks, and we try to share. On my local show, a guy named Pablo on my show, who's one of our producers. Pablo came in and he was talking to Gatos tonight yesterday. And he says, it's hard and it's different to talk to because he's Mexican, right? For the sake of the true story, he'll be Mexican. And Pablo says, here's two white guys. And he goes, Chad, I know that you were born Rodriguez and all this stuff, but, you look at you guys and I go, I get it, dude. Here's two white dudes talking about race. It's weird. I mean, we have to talk about things. And I try to give voice to everybody. I want to hear from everybody. I don't care if you're black or white, gay or straight, purple or green. I don't care if you're a little person or a tall person, a fat person or a thin person. I don't care what you identify or don't identify with. Let's hear and have a conversation. But I said, you know what, dude, I've never had the problem of driving while black, shopping while black. Now, I don't have white privileges. I just can't go in. Royals have privileges. Super celebrities have privileges. Those things, that's real. Now, I've had advantages. I've had situations where driving while white. shopping while white. Those are things, but I can't explain, I've never been on the other side of that. But I've also told him, I said, you know what you can't explain? And he goes, what? I said, you can't explain being white. And he goes, no, I can't. And I said, that's also discounted because we think that, we paint everybody as you've got some sort of privilege or some sort of, let me tell you something. That is also not a good situation. Trying to tell everybody, hey, you guys are a huge part of this problem when that's not really the truth. And if you want to exclude people from trying to find the solution that we all need to get to together, that can't happen. I continue to say, if we're going to have a conversation about this, it's got to be a conversation with no emotions and nobody taking things personally or getting personal. And that's hard because we can't do that in anything nowadays. Whether it's a photo op or whether it's Twitter or Instagram, I can't. I have my forums that I belong to on like Facebook and stuff because I have my lizards, and I've got specialty lizards, so you don't find many of them in the world. And I can't even go on to any of my. I was telling producer Phil, and producer Phil was telling me, like the Rush, right? Like you're in a Rush group on Facebook,
right?
And does it devolve after somebody's always got to say something and it goes to hell, and it's supposed to be fun talking about Rush,
and it's not.
It's not. It's not. Because for whatever reason, our first impulse nowadays is to be obnoxious. And we've given people the platform. We've given people the platform. I won't even post pictures of my lizards. Because the first thing that somebody's going to do is, oh, that's a nice lizard, but you're doing everything wrong. Let me tell you why you suck and why I have the best. And I'm like, I'm out. Hey, I feed my lizards this. I would never do that. Let me tell you. And that's what it's like at every single one of those. And it doesn't matter. Put anything there. Sewing, juggling. Just doesn't matter what it is. Tying a shoe. You're doing it all wrong. I'm like, okay, I'm out. Now you put that with other issues like race, sexuality, equality, any of the inequalities. Oh, it's just, and then everybody takes it personal because people also like to make things personal. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from you. Love and hate. And by the way, I will have a great discussion with you. I will text you. I will try to tweet at you. I try to get back to everybody as much as I can. But when you start out, you are the worst human being on earth. You suck. You're a fascist. You're a blankety blank. You're a communist. You're F you. And then you want to have a conversation with me? I don't want to have a conversation. You're not interested in that. You're not. Be nice. That's it. Boomer Naturals. They're nice. 30-day. 30-use protective face coverings. They're not going anywhere. Masks are here for a while, maybe here to stay. Stop wasting your money on the one-size-fits-all, not treated, and you got to buy a bunch of them, and they're tough to get, and they don't fit right. Get yourself the Boomer Naturals 30-day, 30-use face coverings. Made from 3 layers of hypoallergenic material, 65% cotton, 35% polyester, treated with nano silver technology, as well as treated with antibacterial, antiviral protection. It will last on the cloth up to 30 days. You take the mask off. So you take off the mask, you wash it in warm water with some soap, you let it air dry, wear it again tomorrow. 2 sizes. They got, they got children's sizes and adult sizes. Because when you buy those masks, it goes one of 2 ways from other places. They don't fit you and your ears are coming forward, or they're so big that it doesn't matter. These are affordable. Less than 30 cents a day, and you can get yours right now and save 20%. Go to boomernaturals.com. Use code CHAD20. Get free shipping on all orders over $50. That's code CHAD20 at boomernaturals.com. Take your family's health in your own hands. Order your 30-day, 30-use face coverings now. Boomernaturals.com. Promo code CHAD20. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
You may have thrown out your stimulus payment, especially if it was loaded onto a debit card.
Looks like spam. I just didn't know what it was.
Joanne Farrar tossed the star-studded card with her name and her husband's name on it because she says it looked like a lot of credit card offers she'd gotten. So she searched through the trash once she found out.
This was 3 garbage bags, and of course it was in the one with the wet salad.
If this happens to you and you need a replacement card, it could cost you $17 to get one.
Oh, my God. I've been hearing about this for like a couple of weeks. I mean, people really are. It looked like spam. Does it come with nothing? Like, I've not seen it. Does it come with anything that says this is your stimulus, or does it just come in a blank? Like, if it just comes in a folded over piece of paper with nothing on it, I would say it's a little weird. That's a little odd. I don't know about that. But if it comes from a United States government, actual envelope, the whole 9 yards, then maybe, just maybe, you should say, well, maybe it's real. Maybe it's real. Maybe it is. Just check first. That's all we're saying, kids. Check first. That's what we do here. We want you guys to check. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Still have an election this year. Biden was out and about campaigning. And you've got a bizarre situation of COVID-19, unrest in the country. Millions of people are unemployed, not because the foundation of the economy we had was crumbling. It was because we got hit with the coronavirus, and now everything's up in the air. From yesterday, there was primaries. So it's weird. So what's it look like? Who's going to go where? What's Trump's path going to be at this moment in time? What's Biden going to do?
You are seeing the president trying to show force, trying to show himself as a leader who can get things back under control. But you aren't hearing President Trump talk a lot about the underlying message of these protesters. Joe Biden sees an opportunity to try and project a message of unity and hope going forward.
Like I said, much more empathetic than Trump. Trump is. If you're looking for empathy from Trump, you're not going to get it. And even if you get what his version of is a heartfelt, sincere message, for most people, it's not going to feel that way. He doesn't come across that way. Doesn't mean he doesn't care. Doesn't mean he does care. He may not. He may give. And just because you get a super heartfelt message from somebody that seems contrite and real and just no matter what the situation is, doesn't mean it's real. So, but when it comes to the look side of it, as far as the empathy and the understanding, there's no doubt Biden's well in the lead there. When it comes to knowing where they are on a day-to-day basis, I'm giving that one to Trump. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
President Trump is pushing back on reporting that he was taken to an underground bunker at the White House Friday night for his protection as protests outside grew violent. The president, in an interview with Fox News Radio, said he went down during the day and it was for a, quote, really short period of time, and it was more of an inspection. But multiple senior-level sources told ABC News that as the protest outside the White House grew on Friday evening, the White House briefly went into its highest security level, prompting President Trump to be moved to an underground facility for a brief period of time.
Of course, he had to come out and address that. I said that's one of the things about Trump that I think you saw him push back the other night with the protesters, and he does the quick meeting with the governors. Tell them, get your blank handle, dominate. Top of that, he then has a press conference in the Rose Garden. That's surreal. Tells people that they're going to move all these people so he can go over here and have a photo op. And I think and to talk about the law and order president. And I think his whole thing, he listens a lot to social media. And the reaction, I think, was, I'll show you. It wasn't down in the bunker. And he probably doesn't have, I don't care what the president, who it is, right or left, Democrat or Republican, at some point in time, you don't have that say. Other people are making a say for you. Sir, you're going here. I don't want to. You're going here. Because it makes it easier for them in the event that something goes south. That's what that is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Mark Esper came out today and said he does not want to or believe or endorse the using of mobilizing the military to quail the things that are, going on out there with the protests that returned violent. And the reality is that last night and yesterday was a day where it was peaceful protest by and large across the country. People came out. They took to the streets. They chanted. They had their voices heard. And that's the way it's supposed to be. All right, that's the way it's supposed to be. Now, in the subsequent nights that preceded the yesterday, we had some serious issues. And most of those people that were involved did not care about Black Lives or Black Lives Matter. They were there to cause hell and chaos and to break things. And that's, I think for most people, it's old. Like we've heard this tune. This is a real issue we want to discuss, and it's time for people who want to have a conversation. You, who is a disgruntled, angry, pissed off, philosophy major who's got $400,000 in debt and has no job prospects and lives at home with their mom and dad and are angry at the world. And your professors have told you that's cool, and you want to go outside and throw bricks and be pissed off because you want justice, when really all you want to do is throw a fit and try to tear down a system that you don't like. We need to have a conversation. That's the reality of this. Conversation is what we need. We don't need fighting. We don't need arguing. We're screaming and yelling at each other. We need a conversation. We do. And does it happen today? I don't know. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was speaking yesterday, and he talked about a lot of things, but then he talked about what happened 30-plus years ago almost with Rodney King.
Just think of how we were disturbed and really motivated to change things when we saw the Rodney King film. And that was 30 years ago. What happened in between? Nothing. Nothing has happened. There were consent decrees that were imposed on a number of police agencies across the country. Most of those agencies have resisted change very strongly. They don't want to change, and that's very obvious when you see things like this continue to happen again and again and again.
And look, what took place last week was awful. It's horrible. The day-to-day issues are bigger. If you look at the data, and I know everybody's like, oh, data's horrible. I don't want to look at data, especially if it doesn't go with where I want to go, and we now pick and choose the data we want to use. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to reopen your state in the world of COVID-19 or whatever it is, you'll find you can always find something to support your argument if you dig hard enough or manufacture something or only look for a certain thing. But if you go look at any of the governmental websites, and it's the best you're going to be able to do, and it's tough. I mean, people write books and they put all this stuff out there. You realize that takes years, and a lot of the most important person you're going to find in putting together certain things will be a researcher. Do you have full-time people who are researching everything, who can go from county by county, city by city, and as well as the federal side of things to put everything together? But the best numbers we have say that when you look at police and their actions in the killing of any individual, whether it be a person of color or a white person, that it happens very rarely, 1,000 times a year. And out of that, how many times is it somebody who's unarmed or a situation like that? But it's the day-to-day that you don't see, the interactions you don't see, the being pulled over in situations, little things like that are much different. And we don't talk about that because somebody getting pulled over today who is driving while black, we're not going to hear about unless there's an incident. And not every time that you're pulled over because you happen to be black or Hispanic is because you're black and Hispanic. Sometimes it's because you ran a red light, right? Or whatever reason. But it's when you talk to people, I talked to several protesters yesterday because we had a pretty big protest here in Phoenix, not as big as a lot of other places because we're kind of apathetic. We're that way with the sports teams out here too. Like, it's great but we're not Boston, right? We're not ride or die because so many people are from different places. So everybody's kind of got their own allegiances, and it's kind of almost that way with politics too. But when it comes to the protesters I was talking to, because I said, you want change. Okay, what does change look like? Because that's the other thing. To say you want change is easy. To actually achieve change, that's tough. But without a destination and a plan, it's impossible. And to a person, most of them said it's the day-to-day interaction that frustrates them. It's the day-to-day. It's not the one-offs highlight it. George Floyd's death highlighted and angered people. But then when you talk to them, it was other interactions throughout the day in their lives that led up to their frustration outside of that. Somebody who's never been pulled over, who's black, may not understand somebody who's been pulled over 5, 10, 15 times for no reason and searched. And I thought that was rather interesting. But change is great. What's the change you're looking for? If it's like anything, you set out goals, you achieve it. How do you do it? Well, if you're going to eat an elephant, how do you do it? It's one bite at a time. One bite at a time. So I'm taking the one bite. I'm not going to eat the whole thing at once, right? Because I'm not a snake. Not a big, giant, huge snake. It's, as a human being, it's one bite at a time. If you want to go from Los Angeles to New York, you have a map. You don't just appear there. And there's 15 different ways to get there. The goal is to get there. Whether somebody's driving you, whether you're on foot, whether you're riding a bike, taking a train, flying, a boat, whatever it is. But you're going to get there. But that has to be the destination. I want to get to here. And I don't think we have that. I think if you ask 50 people, what's the change you want to see, they're going to give you 50 different things. And I think for everybody, it's an individual thing. What's the change you want? What kind of change do you want? Do you want change that is this? More review boards, hold more police accountable, make them more liable, less policing on the streets? Okay, but what's the change? Because if you have 20 people to say these 5 they want less policing on the streets and in these neighborhoods. But then you got other people in the neighborhood so no, we want more policing. But out of that more policing, we want more of a hands-off approach. And these ones are like, no, we need to clamp down over here. And so that's the thing. If you want to find out what the change is going to be, the first thing you need to do is figure out, okay, what's the end goal? Because if it's we want to get rid of racism, well, you're going to get rid of human beings. Because there will always be biases. There will always be bad actors and bad apples. There will always be people that act poorly. So if the goal is to get to zero, that's not going to happen. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But if it's to make it negligible and for people to come together and start feeling like they're being heard and that things are moving in the right direction, that's real. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. I was rocking out today. So I'm fortunate. I got 2 cars and, you would have laughed, Phil. I was so rocking out today to Dusty Springfield and the Carpenters because I'm able to go on and take my phone and I can hook it up to the car and I can listen to the YouTube and I got my playlist on there and I was rocking out. So on that car, I have Car Shield and that's for me, I've got the engine warranty, but there's no plan for if my electronics go out. So with Car Shield, I've got that with that because I do worry about that. And on the other car I don't have any electronics, but I worry about the transmission and the engine, so I've got a plan for that. CarShield's got a plan for anything you want. They got 1 million customers. Their plans start as low as $99 a month. With it, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop, and the shop is the shop that you choose. But you have to tell them what you're looking for, right? It's that simple. You explain. I've talked to people like, well, it didn't really work the way I wanted it to, Chad. And I'm like, well, what did you say? Well, I didn't. I said, so you didn't talk to anybody or you didn't have a specific thing? No, it's like anything. You could get something that covers every single thing on there, or you want something specific. You talk to them. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson saves you 10%. Or go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Remember to use that code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
They had taken what actions I assume they felt was necessary, given what they faced, but I was not briefed on the plans and was not aware of what they were doing.
Defense Secretary Mark Esper not happy about the threats to use military and mobilize it with Trump. Also not happy with what took place the other day. And the moving of protesters who were peacefully protesting and moving them away so Trump could have his photo op, and said that what took place with George Floyd was horrific. And it was. I think we all agree. I've not met anybody who goes, well, no, it was absolutely horrific. The look in the officer's eyes, I won't use his name, he's a scumbag. I was telling the guys, that work, because they're always asking me about my lizards. Like, what did they have personalities? I said, yeah, they have personalities. So, there's some of them, I always tell you, I've got different kinds of animals. I've got my snakes. Some of them are really sweet, very curious. Some of them are very shy. I said, my lizards are the same way. I said, my biggest lizard, his name is Norman, and he's about 6.5 feet long, and he's about 80 pounds, and he's still growing, and he's so shy. He won't even come out of his cage. I leave his cage open for a day. He won't leave he likes that. And I said, I have another lizard that is a beast. Eating. He'll come out at any given time. But when he gets something, food-wise, he'll tear it apart and then he'll stand on it and look around. And I said, that to me, when I saw the look in that guy's eyes, it reminded me of some sort of wild animal who was almost proud of his kill. That's like, I don't know, on the psychological side of things, as a human being, how does somebody get there? Like, he's going to wake up that morning and say, today's the day. Like, how did he get there? What caused him to get there? What was it? Was it the way he was raised? Was this something over time? Did he just, I think it's a real question that should be asked. And we like the mystery side of things, or things that it's like, to this day, and you talk to people about, everybody wants to know, like, what's a mass shooting? Or was it a terrorist? Okay. Well, why did the person do it? What was wrong? Is it bullying? Was it an incel? Was it this? Because everybody's trying to tie it together because it makes them feel good. They don't want the unknown to be out there. And then you look at someplace like Las Vegas. To this day, nobody knows. Seem to have everything. Didn't seem to be hurting for anything. Wasn't starving. Had a girlfriend. Had money. Why? Why on this day did that officer do what he did, and then in a weird, sick, perverted, depraved way, do what he did for 8+ minutes with a person who was already cuffed and for several of those minutes non-responsive and almost looked like he was a wild animal proud of his kill. That's the sickening side of all of this. To watch a man die and another man kill him in a way that it made it like, is this, what are you? Oh, ugly. We may never know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I did know that we were going to the church. I was not aware of a photo op was happening. Of course, the president drags a large press pool along with him. And look, I do everything I can to try to stay apolitical and to try and stay out of situations that may appear political. And sometimes I'm successful at doing that, and sometimes I'm not as successful.
Esper right there, Defense Secretary, talking about the photo shoot and the moving of people and kind of regrets what took place, knew about it, didn't probably know all the things that were going to happen and the look that it was and how that became a story. I mean, it just became one of those stories where, like, we're talking about it and it's brought to my attention by my uncle as we were chatting about it yesterday because he wasn't a fan about it, and he's a huge Trump fan. And he said, look, I didn't like it either, but nobody's talking about what happened to the church, how it was vandalized, and it's all boarded up. Nobody's talking about that. It's all that Trump went there and held up a Bible. But I'm like, that's what we do in this country. Like, that's we go, ooh, look at that. Look at that style with the substance. We don't care about that. Right? There's a bigger thing. Trump tweeted something. Right? AOC said something. Let's overreact to it. Okay. All the while, all the other stuff that's happening. Quick, let's virtue signal or just appeal to our base. Let's scream and yell. I love them. We're going to bring the world. I'm here to unite the country together. You're not going to unite the country. Joe Biden will bore us together because we'll stop caring. Not that we won't care. We just won't care emotionally. We won't be invested in it. Trump is meth. He's Lunesta. Right? He's NPR. Trump is YouTube chaos. That's how. But he's not going to unite the country. Half the country doesn't like the politics that you're going to try to push out there. And the other half does. And look, let's be real. That's being kind to say half does and half doesn't. Usually nowadays vote against the person rather than vote for the person. I mean, that was the last election, right? A lot of people were voting against Hillary that would otherwise probably vote for a Democrat. And a lot of people that would vote for a conservative were voting for Trump because it wasn't Hillary. So there's so many things that go into how we do stuff, but the thought of we're going to unite the country, we can't decide what to have for dinner. So uniting of the country probably isn't going to happen the way that people think. So we'll see what takes place. Keith Ellison, Minnesota AG, announcing there's new charges in the killing of Floyd, and this is different. But take all of that away. I was telling you, forget that there will be other charges from the feds coming down. So the feds, the Department of Justice, everybody, they're looking the civil rights side. There's going to be other charges that come down from the feds. This guy, even if it is he gets third-degree murder, is all that they can convict him for. If they can ask for more, as they're doing, but all that they can convict him for is third-degree murder. There's going to be other charges from the feds. He is going to spend a long time in prison, or not. He may not. I mean, he's on suicide watch. That may never happen. He may never see the end of this thing out. And I hope that doesn't happen. Well, why? Because you want to see justice. You want to see the whole thing play itself out. You want to see the justice system do what it's supposed to do. And in many cases, it doesn't. Not because the system doesn't work, just because people figure out how to work the system. A buddy of mine who's an attorney said, you know who wins in court? I said, yeah. He goes, who? Let's see if you really know, Chad. I said, the person who tells the best story. He goes, you get it. Person who tells the best story. And usually the best story takers make the most money. And money's where it's at. But we've seen this. We've got the film. We know what the story is. The picture's already been painted. The story's already been told. It's filling in the pieces. But to see the system work, I don't want this guy to commit suicide. I want to see the system work the way it's supposed to. Not that he cheats the system, but it works the way it's supposed to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. We're still in the midst of the COVID. Remember that? We're in the midst of the COVID still. 41 million Americans. Friday, we're going to get the latest jobs report. Tomorrow, the unemployment. I mean, it is still ugly out there. People have gotten their stimulus. Will they get another stimulus? And by the way, how many people who got a stimulus, just out of curiosity, you got them? What'd you do with it?
How critical is it, do you think, the government passes even legislation to get more stimulus checks into the economy?
Well, it looks like the first wave of stimulus checks were absolutely needed. We studied the data that we have to look at how the first wave of stimulus was spent in the lower income sector. So I'll call that below $50,000 of annual income. Those folks used that money. They used that money to pay necessary bills, rents, mortgages, auto loans, and pay down debt. So my sense, we do need another round of stimulus.
Okay, good. So lower income spending in the areas that you would like to say, okay, that's what it's needed for. That's what it's for. But also there were other people that still were working, got a stimulus, had a little bit more money.
Bill, where in particular are people spending their money right now? And
if you look at the lower income strata, which I'll just arbitrarily define as, say, under 75,000, in the lower income strata, we saw a lot of spending in education, home improvement, actually opening stock accounts, trading accounts. We also saw payments of utility bills. In the upper income strata, a bit different. They tended to spend it on paying down debt, insurance, home improvement, and electronic, general merchandise.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's so. But you like how they're paying down debt. That's a great thing. Paying down the debt.
We are seeing savings on the rise, but I would say that in the lower income strata, they are using it on the necessary items, primarily food and staples and rent and mortgage. We suspect that may be catch-up payments, but we'd have to go back and research that from delayed payments of previous rents and mortgages. They are also in one of the highest categories of spend we see in the lower income strata is utility bills.
Yeah. But that's what the whole thing was for, was to pay the things that needed to be paid, to give people some comfort that even though you had a job, you can't go to that job right now. And very few people are going to be going to their jobs compared to pre-COVID. So we want to make sure that there is a something there to give you a helping hand, on top of the fact that many people were getting more money on unemployment than they were even in their regular job. So that was a good boost.
In the travel sector, though, what we're seeing is actually a slight rebound beginning to happen in hotel, airlines, and travel agency bookings, while ride-sharing, taxis, and parking still lag on a year-over-year basis.
Well, I don't know where you're going to go ride-share-wise, because, a lot of that's going to the airport or going out to clubs or doing stuff like that. Nobody's really doing any of those things at this moment in time, because where would you go? Right? Like, where are you going to go? And I still look at travel with, what does it look like? So, Trump yesterday, he's saying, we're done. We're not going to be in North Carolina. We're going to move the RNC because the governor's like, we can't give you what you want, this full-blooded giant convention. It's just not going to happen. We don't have a therapeutic. COVID seems to still be here. And you want an answer today. And Trump's like, well, I'll move it. But we were supposed to go out there. So we're supposed to go to both conventions. So Anthony and I were putting stuff, but I'm telling you, flying and having a mask on for 5 hours is completely unappealing. Now, for the job, I would do it. But if you said, hey, you've got a vacation, would you like to go to Hawaii or wherever you're thinking about going? And I will sit there and think, in this, I can't. 5 hours, no, I'll pass. It makes it unappealing. And in some places, like here in Phoenix, so now you have to wear one when you get in with your Uber. So that's 30 minutes, let's say. At the airport, while you wait for an hour and a half or 2 hours, that's also a place where you're mandated you have to wear a mask. So now you're going on 2.5 hours. On the airplane, while you wait, boom, there's another 30 minutes. So you're up to almost 3 hours or so. Then if you got a 4 or 5 hour flight and you don't know what it's like on the other side, maybe you do, maybe you don't, you're looking at 8 or 9 hours of wearing a mask. And I just have no desire to do that. I think some of the things that they're putting in place to try and mitigate this and stop the spread or do whatever else that they think they're going to do with it at this point in time, I think some of those things are going to be a turnoff to the average person who may want to do something that normally would say, oh, I could go away for a weekend. Well, no, I can't go outside, can't do this, can't sit on the beach because for whatever reason. Because you could run on this beach, but if you sit here, you can't build a sandcastle. Because if you build a sandcastle, God only knows what would happen. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Wounded Paw Project, amazing organization I've been working with for a while. Talked to Ernesto last week, and they are just swamped. And it was interesting. We were talking about what Wounded Paw Project does, and they've got for a little autistic boy, they've got a dog that's just about ready. And he was telling me, this is not just we rescued a little puppy and trained it. This was a hard case, mean dog that they've rehabilitated, that was going to be put to sleep and is now going to be teamed up with a child that has autism. Like a hard case. Dogs who fight. It's amazing what they do. And they help our first responders, our veterans and their families, and you can get involved in this, and it really is incredible. You can give in several ways. You can go to Amazon. You can go to smile.amazon.com. When you go there, they have you can go to Wounded Paw Project on the supporting group and just put that there. That helps out. They also accept cash. Again, tax deductible, fantastic. But if you have an extra car, truck, RV, any kind of unwanted vehicle, maybe you're thinking, well, it's a great time to buy cars. Think about trading it in. Trust me, you don't have to worry about that. They're going to give you great deals there. Get a great tax deductible gift and turn this in. They appreciate it. It'll go to help our first responders, our veterans and their family. Find out how you can help. Go to woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
Father's Day is just around the corner, but while we all love our dads, according to figures from the National Retail Federation, Americans spend $23 billion on Mother's Day, but only around $15 billion on Father's Day. So if you're going to spend basically only 2/3 as much on your dad this year, at least get him something he wants. Well, DeClaw Brewing Company has something that's sure to entice any veteran child rearer: beer.
Oh, beer. Isn't that sad? We get gypped. Right? Totally gypped. Remember Chris Rock talking about his dad? Nobody says thanks to Dad. Hey, Dad, thanks for knocking out this rent.
Only thing he gets is the big piece of chicken.
Only thing he gets is the big piece of chicken. It's true. Mother's Day is massive, right? Your floral arrangements, breakfast out, the celebration. Father's Day, it's like, I didn't see you there. Can I get you something? I'm going to the fridge. Yeah. That's not very nice, Chad.
The limited run Dad Bod beer is a double IPA made with mosaic hops and clocks in at 8.5% alcohol, which is enough to make him forget what a disappointment you've turned out to be. The can features what some might call the ultimate Dad Bod, complete with beer belly, a Hawaiian shirt featuring all Dad's favorite pastimes, and of course the remote. Tear up that coupon book of free hugs you'd planned to give him and finally be the son or daughter he always wished he had. The one that gave him the Dad Bod, the one who bought him beer.
There you go. So beer. There's also other weird gifts out there. So if you're thinking to yourself, my dad, he's fun, I'm going to get him something weird. There's the merman tail. Apparently, go to aquamermaid.com. This one's weird. Luggage, where you can get your dad, so whether he's, passed out on the couch or in some weird situation and a funny, thing he posted on Instagram of his face, and you can have that put on luggage. So when he's cruising through the airport, there it is. Vulcan earbuds. Get that. They got the stretchy Donald Trump doll. You go to stretchthetruth.com. It looks a lot like Stretch Armstrong, which was so great. The beef jerky bouquet. I'm up for that one. That one I would totally. The unicorn taco holder. Tuxedo onesies. These are just some of these great. I'm throwing them out there. The portable pizza oven. That's a win all year, by the way. Because Dad's going to want to do what? Dad's going to want to help you out. And make yourself a pizza. You want to make you a pizza? I'll make you a pizza. 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 Portable solar generator. You go to Renogy, RENOGY.com. Pretty awesome. So that looks actually kind of cool. So it's a portable generator that obviously is solar. And so if you were out in the middle of nowhere and Dad gets weird about his phone and it's, oh my God, the phone fell under like 40%. And I know we're going to be home in an hour, but I feel like I need to charge it. Boom. There's that one. Customized coloring pages. Banana whiskey. These are little things. I'm just throwing them out there. Right? Kangaroo pouch shirt for that new father. Lots of good stuff. So get him something weird, but get him something. Even a thank you. An attaboy. Dad, thanks so much for being around. It's also huge, but also for being there. It's okay. You can do that. Dads will appreciate it. And sometimes dads just want to take a nap, a little bit of peace and quiet. That's all they're looking for. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. New charges today in the death of George Floyd. It's been pretty good the last 24 hours with the protests. It's what you want to see. It's what our country's all about. People getting out there, having their voices heard. Hopefully people are listening. But the reality is, as we move towards the world of change, what is the change that you want? What does that look like? To you, what is that? You can text me. Check out the Twitter. Go to the Chad Benson Show Facebook page as well. We got you over the hump. We do it always. Have a great day. Be kind to each other. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.